You're watching Gareth and Davies Fight Talk for Pitch Boxing. We are here at Bellator 263, an incredible fight at the Forum Inglewood on Saturday night when the Bellator featherweight crown, $1 million, is on the line, when the champ Patricio Pitbull defends his featherweight crown against AJ McKee, the young upstart from just a few miles down the road in Compton. I'm joined today by two brilliant journalists from MMA Junkie, Nolan King and Danny Segura. Gentlemen, how are you?
Doing well, Gareth. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Gents, first of all, can I get your reaction, Nolan, to the way the guys went at each other at the end of the press conference today?
Yeah, I mean, the fight didn't need it. It's a huge fight anyway. It has all the makings of the biggest, best fight in Bellator history. We were saying that before we came into today, but I mean, who's not going to love that? That just adds a whole nother level to it. It went from a real a rivalry based on intensity, based on respect in the terms of they recognize each other's skills. And then now it has that extra little spice. It has that bad blood. There's multiple talking points, feelings of disrespect. I mean, as much as I don't encourage it as a fan, part of me really does love seeing
It's
like
part
that.
of the fight game, I think.
Yeah.
They're primed and ready to go. Do you think, Danny, that one of them came out on top of the other from that contretemps today?
I think maybe AJ a little bit, just because he is getting a reaction from the champion, the guy who's been so dominant for many years and is the king of that
Seventh
division.
defense, I think it is.
Exactly.
It's a long reign, isn't it?
He's the young guy coming in, trying to prove himself and kind of level the terms in that sense of being both angry at each other. So yeah, very interesting fight. I think it's a fantastic bout. I think the story's there. I think stylistically it's fun. I think it's a super meaningful bout, not only just for Bellator but for MMA. And now with this a little bit of bad blood, it's just like a really well-rounded matchup in all ways.
Absolutely. I spoke to Scott Coker about all of this, and here's what he had to tell me about it. Scott Coker, president of Bellator 263. Patricio Pitbull, champ, number one pound for pound against AJ McKee, undefeated, $1 million on the line. I want to ask you why it's such a big fight, but I've kind of explained why it is in some ways. But it's a huge fight for Bellator on many different levels, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, on one level, it's proof of a young kid like AJ coming up to the system and finally getting to the point where he could, fight the big fights. And so, we've had success in signing a lot of top recruits, top young talent, and then now it's his time, it's his turn. And so when I think about the journey that AJ's gone through to get to this point, first of all, getting to the 16-man tournament, and then now fighting through the 16-man tournament, and to getting to this point, I mean, that's been a very long journey. And so to me, it just proves that the system works, and that when I talk about buying fighters from the top down, free agents, I also talk about building fighters from the ground up, and we need to have that. And this is proof that we have been able to do that once again, just like we did in our past company.
And the great thing is about a fight of this magnitude, everybody's debating it's like it's a 50-50. Is McKee next level? Is he Mark III as a mixed martial artist? Pitbull's at the peak of his powers.
Yep.
It's a proper chess discussion, isn't it?
And I'll tell you, if you think about the ground game that both fighters have, the jiu-jitsu game both fighters have, the wrestling both fighters have, the striking ability both fighters have, the footwork, the movement. I mean, it's, I've talked to probably a dozen top fighters that fight for many different leagues, talked to a dozen officials and people that are peers in this industry, and I asked them, what's going to happen? And they all said, boy, I don't know.
Either this or this or this.
It was really like a 50-50 type of response. So that's what you're getting on Saturday night is a fight of that level. And you got the young guy, the young star rising that came up through the system, fighting like I said, arguably the pound for pound best in Bellator. And, he's going to have his hands full. They're both going to have their hands full. And, Pitbull he's not a fighter that's like in his 40s is kind of done. He's still in his prime. And he's intense, and he wants this fight. I can tell how much passion he has to finish what he needs to do on Saturday. So, it's going to be a crazy night. I think we're going to add more security
after that press conference.
Yeah,
I mean, the scenes
more security at the cage on Saturday night.
It's 18 months ago that I think I was there with you in Connecticut when the pandemic struck and you cancelled an event, had to, 4 hours before it took place. Today at the press conference, you used the words relaunch, and that it's been a challenging and a grind, and you've been in the bubble for so long. This, like you say, it's a relaunch because it represents coming back at this amazingly iconic venue, the Forum in Inglewood, with a large gate, a large crowd as well.
Yeah, a large crowd, and you know what? We're going to have a big fight. You know, I don't think it gets any bigger than this. This is arguably the biggest, most important fight in the history of the company, and you got two athletes that really want this bad. Not only do they get paid what they normally get paid, but they also get $1 million bonus check. That's on top of that. And that's not split up, divided. That's like the winner gets it all. So
Winner takes it all, yeah?
takes it all. So, there's a lot riding on the line. So, to me, this is the relaunch because we've done a lot of our other fights. Even at the Morgan Sun, we had some audiences, but not really a proper ringside seat section and maybe 20% capacity. So this is the relaunch. And this is just going to be the start of, getting on the road, going back to London,
I need to ask you about that, yeah.
Going to Moscow, going to,
Yeah.
and we have a lot of other.
Were you going to say Dublin then? People are whispering about a Dublin event. You've been there so many times, it's bound to
Listen,
come, isn't
I
it?
can't wait to go back to Dublin.
Okay, we'll leave it at that for that, yeah.
It's such a great fight town. People love it, people are.
But it's the same thing as like at the Forum, Los Angeles and this area of California, in fact the whole of the coast it's MMA country, isn't it? It's the cradle of the sport, and for people to return, don't you think we see more out of athletes sometimes? We get more special performances when the crowds are there because their super egos, their super ids come out.
I was thinking about this when I was watching the UEFA Soccer Championship. Like, what would it be like if there was no audience in that crowd? Like, no crowd. It would have been a different environment. I think it would have changed the outcome of the game, right? So I think that when you have sport, it needs fans, and fans need sport. And it's the lifeblood of true sport is having the audience there because they could change the outcome of an event. Now, you've seen it in boxing. Guys hit down and out, get up, and the crowd starts cheering. And this is going to be AJ's hometown. He's going to have a big crowd.
He could walk there, couldn't he, to the venue?
Yeah,
from where his home.
yeah.
The old gypsies used to walk with all their supporters to the rings years ago. They walked 6 miles, all their fans behind them.
Wow.
He could do that, yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
I learned something today historically.
Onto London. Obviously, you've announced both in October, Fedor Emelianenko to Moscow, which is again major history. But London, October the 1st. First time back in London for I've forgotten how long now, but it's probably a year and a half, isn't it?
I think it's been more than that.
Yeah.
It's been a couple of years.
Yeah. So there you go.
Our last fight was, I believe, in 19, sometime in 19.
Yeah.
So all of 20, half of 21. We're going in October, so it's been at least, I bet you it's been 2 years.
2 years. Well, brilliant main event.
Yes.
The rematch, revenge or not for Michael Venom Page against Douglas Lima. Not the champion's belt on the line because Yaroslav Amosov looks extraordinary at the moment, doesn't he? But maybe if Michael Venom Page can win against Douglas, maybe he will get a shout at Amosov.
Yeah, I mean, that we asked Amosov to fight MVP, and he wasn't available. His wife's having a baby, and they're having a baby, and he wanted to wait until the baby was born, and then he had to go into training camp. He had to fly back and live in Florida. So we understood. So we said, Michael, this is not going to happen. But we wanted to do that fight in London. That was the original plan. And so once we found out that was not going to happen, we said, Michael, this is what we're thinking. And he said, there's no other fight I'd rather fight than Lima. If I can't get
Brilliant.
off, I want Lima.
And I'm hearing that the SSE Wembley Arena that you use could be full capacity as well on October the 1st. That's at the moment.
Full capacity.
Yeah, and obviously on the BBC iPlayer Live.
Yes.
In kind of like a prime time.
Yeah, it's going to be in prime time, and I think it's going to be the first time. I believe it starts at 9 p.m.
UK
London time. Yeah. But I think that's the first time we've been there where it's on BBC, where it's live from London on BBC. So I think people will be really excited, and you can tune into iPlayer, you come down to the fights and watch it at Wembley. It's going to be an amazing fight.
What does it mean to you to get a kind of this kind of deal, which is really with mainstream? That you couldn't get any more mainstream than the BBC and the BBC iPlayer for Bellator to project it as you grow in Europe. Obviously, COVID notwithstanding, but as you grow in Europe.
I mean, you know what it means for the BBC. It means the stamp of approval, right? And to me, not just in the BBC, but when you go to different parts in Europe and even in America, and you're talking about your worldwide deals, and you're with the BBC in the UK, it gives a stamp of approval that not just for Bellator, but for MMA, right? Because this is the first time I think they've done MMA and embraced it. And I don't think it was an easy task. I think it was something, I think David was working on this for a couple of years. So
David Green, yes.
David Green, yes.
Yeah.
And so, we're appreciative of the relationship. We think that we put on some great fights with them, and they've done a great job promoting us. And so, it's been a great relationship. I'm just looking forward to what else we can do together in the future over there.
Well, Scott there saying it's arguably the biggest fight in Bellator history. AJ's homegrown, completely homegrown, one of his first signings. Pitbull, probably one of the most successful athletes ever in the history of Bellator. I know that Ryan Bader's a champ as well, but you look at his resume over the years and how he's grown, and he carries the championship kind of way about him. The big question, guys, is how they interact. Is AJ McKee genuinely next level? Could he even completely dominate a smaller guy who's maybe in his prime though?
I mean, it's quite possible because we haven't seen that ceiling. It's really, as somebody that's predicting the fight, I have to take a leap of faith when I try to pick this one, try to figure out where AJ fits in, because he's beaten tough guys. He's beaten Darion Caldwell, and he's made it look so easy.
He did, particularly against Caldwell, and he's an incredible wrestler and a very tough guy, isn't he?
Right.
A proven champion.
Totally, and I mean, he could be totally well-rounded. That could be the AJ that steps in the cage and beats Pitbull. His ceiling could be even higher than anybody thinks. But on the flip side, we haven't seen anybody be able to test his weaknesses. We don't even really know what they are. So I think it's quite possible that AJ goes in there, and I think whichever fighter comes out of this one, they're going to have some real star potential. I don't think Pitbull's hit his star ceiling either.
That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, he is their pound for pound number one, I think, at the moment. I grabbed Pitbull for a 30-second clip after the press conference, and he is in a different mode now. He's going to F him up, he said. Here's what he had to tell me. Pitbull, the champ. They annoyed you today at the press conference, no?
Yeah, it was great because I was there as a professional, but if you start talking shit about my family, it's going to be personal.
You're really looking forward to the fight now, aren't you?
Now, he's calling the right Pitbull.
Have you got a prediction on how the fight ends?
I don't know, I'm going to fuck his ass out.
Okay, thank you very much. Danny, should AJ McKee have been getting into Pitbull all week and making him emotional? Because he's an emotional person, an emotional fighter. He could have done a bit more this week, because they did it in the press conference, the Zoom press conference we had 3 or 4 weeks ago, which was extraordinary, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Do you think he could have got a bit more out of him?
I think by this point, I mean, as you mentioned, several title defenses, we've seen Pitbull be in heated matchups with guys that he doesn't like.
They put him in different hotels before because of the stuff that was going on in hotel lobbies,
And then on top of that, we've seen him against guys that he respects very much, and he always shows up. I haven't really seen a weakness where, okay, this guy, if we get him riled up, maybe we can expose something of him. So I don't think that it's necessary. I think for the fans, maybe it is a little bit, because it's just more of a intriguing matchup now. But I think AJ has a plan in mind, and he's going to do it regardless if Pitbull is pissed off or not.
Yeah, I mean, you guys cover everything from bare knuckle to obviously the UFC. What's your
Jake Paul
and Jake Paul, all of it, all the YouTubers, everything. Give me a quick pick. Do you think Jake Paul's got a very good chance against Tyron Woodley or not?
I do, and I think he's catching him at the right time.
Yeah.
A prime time.
4 losses, maybe a little. His chin's gone a little bit.
and I just
not a boxer.
Not a boxer.
Throws winging punches. Paul's quite direct. I mean, you can see it, can't you?
Totally.
Yeah.
And the size difference too. Jake's such a big young guy that I think there's something to be said about him. And sure, he's a TikToker, he's YouTube, he's a Disney star, whatever. All the stuff that he likes to kind of use self-deprecating humor.
50 million followers between those two brothers.
But he can back it up too.
They have backed it up.
Yeah.
I mean, I was really surprised with the way Logan Paul, because I went to Logan Paul with KSI, how Logan Paul dealt with Mayweather.
Yeah.
It kind of upset a lot of boxing purists. But these guys are game, aren't they? They're definitely athletic. You think he could beat Woodley?
I think he should be the favorite entering that bout, to be quite honest. I've said it, many fights ago. Jake respects the sport of boxing. We've seen many celebrities get in there and they cannot fight. The guy, I'm not saying he's a world-class fighter, but he's doing his homework, he's putting in the work, he gets in there in shape, clearly, and he's young and an athletic dude. So, I think he's kind of coming up as far as his skill set and just athlete-wise. He's in his prime, whereas Woodley, we've obviously seen he's been on a downfall since the UFC. But look, Woodley can crack, obviously. Even in his last UFC bout, ask Vicente Luque, he was in skates for a few seconds there. So you never know. I think it's a really intriguing matchup. But if I had to put some odds to it, Jake's got to be the favorite.
I love a bit of Spanish or Colombian pronunciación in the show. Look, final thing, guys, and it is that it's really difficult for me as well. I know both guys intimately. It's that moment. I don't know if you both pick, but I'm going to come to you first, Nolan. AJ McKee against Patricio, or Patricio Pitbull, I should say, against AJ McKee for the $1 million. The big check's been here in the press room today for the featherweight crown, for the tournament winner, and maybe for bragging rights right now. Who have you got?
Bounce back and forth quite a bit. Maybe I'll bounce back and forth again before the fight, man. But
you'll look at them in the weigh-ins and maybe make a different decision.
You just get all those reads. I mean, I just still feel like Patricio isn't necessarily getting the respect, and I get it. Like, you got a surging prospect like AJ. People get excited. They wonder, how's the potential? But I think it starts to kind of work against the champion's reputation a little bit, where this guy's been there. He's done that. He's beaten tough guys. So for me, he's more proven, and I think we still haven't seen his ceiling yet either. So I'm going to lean with Patricio.
I gotta lean with Patricio as well. I mean, he's just been melting through the competition at the Grand Prix, and AJ, I think he has tons of talent, and I think he could do obviously very well things, and maybe even win the bout. But I think the more proven commodity up to this point has been Patricio. So.
Well, they're going for the safe bets. I'm going to go out on the edge, always living on the edge. I'm going for AJ McKee to look on a different level in this fight. He might make a mistake early on. Patricio will make him pay for that. He's an incredible shooter box fighter. But I just think AJ McKee, you can't swag like that, like he does, when you don't know, when you know deep inside yourself what you've got. And I do think he's special. I think it'll be the coronation of a new king. And I think they'll fight a lightweight next. It's live, of course, on the BBC iPlayer in the UK from 11:30 at night. But my thanks to Nolan King and Danny Segura. Watch them, listen to them. They're brilliant journalists on MMA Junkie. You've been watching Fight Talk. Don't miss it.